Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Warframe Digest, episode 56! Today we'll be going over Devstream 74 and its relevant topics. So let us begin, shall we? Well, they started right out the gate with some kind of interesting support that actually will provide some quality of life polish to everyone, but mainly, specifically, the colorblind people that have a problem distinguishing red from green. And it's a common problem, let's not throw it under the bus or anything. But it's going to visually make the game a lot prettier long term. And what am I talking about? Long term goal is to implement these little pictures right here, or at least this picture right now you're seeing right now, which is the European tile set lighting settings to distinguish whether certain things are open, whether they're locked, whether they're inaccessible, and so on and so forth. The current system is the far left column. Then the middle system will be when they're being redone, the current off state or the new off state, as well as the locked state and the unlocked state. So a lot more of a noticeable difference for long-term play, and it looks pretty. Let's throw up the other one. Yeah, look, the Corpus one. Yeah, that looks pretty. It looks very flashy and sci-fi. But yes, it looks very nice, and I'm just reiterating and stumbling on my own words and feet. Okay, let's move on. And they also talked about the Volt, Mag, and all the other passives for the Warframe. And by that I mean Volt's rework, Mag's rework, and the passive rework for all frames that have no passives. And it is said to be the ETA of before end of May. So it can be any time before the end of May. So not June, before the end of May. And they actually officially announced what these passives will be for the Warframes. So we'll go through the list from A to V. So, as we can see right here, Ash. Ash's passive will be that of a bleed proc duration buff. When he inflicts bleeds, it will last a lot longer, so he'll draw more blood from an enemy, dealing more damage over time for the enemy, which is very good considering most of his abilities do a innate bleed damage upon cast, such as Blade Storm and Shuriken. Especially with the augments, they make it very devastating. Banshees right now is a little being played with back and forward. It is being considered to be hush on all weapons, so regardless of it being primary or secondary, they'll all be dead quiet, and she will not make a noise at all. Very befitting for the sound Warframe, but they are playing around with it to give something that feels more Banshee-like, aside from this total quiet. The next one is Ember. Ember, when she causes a fire proc, will cause her to regen some energy within a certain radius. So it's good for Fire Blast, Fireball, and World on Fire when the enemies have been dealt fire damage and they're nearby. She regenerates energy from it, which is always nice to see. Hydroid right now is being debated back and forth, and it seems to be a very solid one. And talking about solid is when he makes a solid ground slam. When he slams the ground real nice and hard, he has a % chance of spawning a single tentacle. And that tentacle will be rather devastating. But we'll see how that works out, and that's very interesting little passive for Hydroid. It's going to be very funny to see. Limbos has not been determined or acknowledged at this moment. They are talking about being some sort of mechanic that involves the Rift, considering that his one unique specialty and his powers synergize around that. Loki's right now is in the air, but they're debating about Infinite Wall Latch, which will allow him to just grab onto a wall and not be forced off, giving him a lot more of a stealthy and more flexibility to his movement set. Mag's already has been decided on the Mag rework, which will be Vacuum upon bullet jump within a certain distance. Necros will be getting a very interesting one that befits him, and it is any enemies nearby Necros upon death have a chance of healing Necros for X amount of health, which would be very nice since he is the Death Warframe, the Necrotic Warframe. Nova is the funniest in my opinion, Antimatter Bomb. When she is knocked down on the floor, she explodes in an antimatter blast, dealing blast damage to any enemies nearby. So have that, Bombards and Heavy Gunners, haha! Nyx will have a chance of causing the enemies to disarm upon being mind controlled, unless it is the skill mind control at the end of the mind control skill. So that is very interesting to see a lot more mechanical depth to Nyx and her skill set. Oberon right now is in the table as well. They are debating whether or not to allow him to control wildlife temporarily as allies, but that is kind of in the works. Trinity will be receiving a faster revive buff, so upon being the healer, reviving a friendly, you revive them a lot quicker, making her the optimal reviving Warframe. Vauban will be getting an armor percent buff from friendlies near him. It kind of sounded like it might be based on the Warframe that's nearby, but I think it's per Warframe or based on Warframe. I don't know. It's kind of like on the table, so we'll see what that comes out to in the end. We already know Volts from the Volt rework video, and that is that the amount of time that Volt spends on the ground will give him a damage buff to his electric attacks. People are debating that's on his first shot, on his first power skill, or on his first melee, but we'll see what happens when Volt is released. They also talked about the Umbra Warframes. We haven't heard about those in a long time. They are talking about being very quiet about it, so they're talking about not talking about it. And all they can say is that Umbras are being introduced into the game in a similar fashion to the second Dream. They are going to be surprising us, they are going to be dropping a ton of lore, and they want to have that same awe factor, that same shock and awe, yeah, that we received from the second Dream, and they're not going to really talk about it until it's ready and it's done and it's in our hands. They also talked about briefly that custom holsters, what happened to those? They might be update 19, maybe? That's all they really said. And they also showed off the market rework. In all honesty, this is very beautiful and well long deserved. And they will be making into a little dynamic search system. They have recategorized everything onto this singular button on the top left, as you can see here. Thank you for that. All the items have been categorized and been separated into different tiers, based on weapons, on skins, on blueprints, on warframes, on animations, and so on and so forth, making it a lot cleaner and a lot more expansive for them to add more items and reduce the cluster and the clunkiness of the whole system, making it very easy to navigate. They are adding a hide own button, so you can hide things you have already purchased, so you can see only the skins you don't have, only the animations you don't have, only the warframes you don't have, and this will just make it a lot more prettier and organized in the long run. And then the big meat for these potatoes, or the big lob of butter on this potato, butter and potatoes, yum. Vauban, Vauban, he will be officially released next week, so expect him Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, because we don't know when the patch is coming out anymore. Should be Wednesday, patch day is Wednesday, but then they have been doing it Friday recently, and they have done a massive tweak to Vauban. At least they've done a massive tweak to one skill, Bounce. And Bounce will be getting the Ivara treatment, or the Ivara treatment, where Bounce comes in multiple settings and multiple flavors. We already know what Bounce does, so we'll skip right over that, and we'll see his new ability, which is Trip Laser. Yes, as the word indicates, it is a laser that trips the enemies. As you can see here, if they walk onto the laser, they get staggered, but if they go running all about, they get ragdolled. And that looks wacky, that looks fun, that looks abusive, and I can't wait to have fun with that. They also introduced a Shred Grenade, which will reduce the armor value of an enemy that hits it, so it's optimal against Grenier, and it is ridiculously powerful, because, oh, look here, there he goes, bye-bye. I might use that more than Bounce. And they also are talking about, he flew as well, they also talked about a Concussion Grenade. The Concussion Grenade, upon hitting or blast, or upon explosion, upon concussion, it will just stun the enemies and just completely stun them, there's no other way to say it, which will provide Vauban a lot more control to his abilities. There might be some more tweaks we don't know about. Tesla is still there, Bastille's still there, Vortex is still there, and Bounce has been giving a lot more versatility. So Bounce is good against Corpus, Shred is good against Grenier, Concuss is a good stun, and Trip Laser is just funny and optimal against the Infested, because they run everywhere, and they're gonna zerg you one way or another, so you might as well just trip them. And they once again reiterate the mastery into weapon rank. Reward for long-term play is still in the tables, it's still on discussion, and it might be made into a thing later down the road. So, that pretty much does it for Digest 56, and that's today in the 74. So, tell me, what are you guys excited for? The colorblind support, it's a kind of a non-issue for people that can see color, but for colorblind people, are you excited that you're getting support? I like the visual changes for it. I liked it when they did it for the lockers. Are you guys excited for the Mag and Vault reworks that are coming at the end of May? Are you excited for any particular Warframes passive that was announced? Are you excited, or are you upset that they said nothing about the Umbras in great detail. Are you looking forward to the market rework? I think it's pretty. I can actually see the things I don't own already. And Vauban! Oh my god, Vauban. I can't wait to farm. Wait, no, I can wait. I just don't want to do the void anymore. I'm gonna go trade. Can someone sell it to me? So, we'll see what happens. So, tell me in the comment section down below. I already asked for that. So, like, comment, subscribe, do all the good things, and remember, Tenno, have fun, take it easy, and see you guys in game. So that is very interesting to see a lot more versatility. Estoy grabando! Or an electric buff at the end of his. After, redo that. Estoy grabando! Shh!